Hi, this is John Linneball, and I'm with John Linneball Tutoring, and this is College Admissions, How to Write the Common Application Essays. First thing you need to know is the 2019 essay prompts are the same as the 2018 essay prompts. So the Common App has announced that the 2019 to 2020 essay prompts will remain the same as the 2018 to 2019 essay prompts. This is directly from their website. This is a screenshot that I took the other day. Now, that's not that surprising because the prompts generally don't change very much. Why? It's because colleges and universities are always going to be asking questions designed to seek the same things. Your persistence in the face of adversity, your leadership, your involvement in your community, and your academic and non-academic interests and passions. Why do they want to know that? Well, it's really easy if you think about it this way. As a university or a college student, you're both the customer and the product, as well as a means of production. Pretty amazing, huh? So, you're probably asking, how can I be a customer, product, and means of production? Are you crazy? You've been smoking some funny tobacco there, John? No, swear. Okay. For example, this is the logo of my alma mater, Williams College. Here's a picture of West College there, which was the original Williams College. Anyway, maybe I'm a little crazy, okay, but I do have a solid point here. Obviously, you're spending both your and your parents' money and probably borrowing money to pay for a college education at a place like Williams there. So you're a customer. Okay, that's the thing that makes the most sense. But also, you're the product in a few senses. For example, you'll be contacted many times after your graduation by the Alumni Association of any college you attend. Williams has the oldest society of alumni in the United States, I believe. And they will remind you what a great education you've received and how you really should pay it forward with a donation, especially if you were a financial aid student. And even if you weren't a financial aid student, you should know that prudent investments of previous donations are what allows Williams to charge not as much, basically they're not getting all their operating capital from tuition because of prudent investments of previous year's gifts. So why don't you give and help future students? That's the basic point. Second, if you end up being rich and famous, or at least famous, your college will use you to publicize itself. Yes, that's right, sell celebrities study drama here before being on Saturday Night Live. Third, corporations can and do donate to colleges or universities or institutions that they see as feeder schools. That is, that those are the training schools that teach the engineers and scientists and bankers and economists and whatever that they need for their own corporate purposes. So they're more than happy to invest in making sure they have personnel in the future. All right, so you're asking, but John, how am I a means of production? What does that even mean? A college can be defined as a place where people of roughly equal status, or colleagues, meet to discuss ideas. You'll be expected to participate in class discussions, and you'll most likely participate in debates and discussions outside of class, sometimes even if you don't feel like it. If you're a teaching assistant, that is a TA or a tutor, you'll be employed by the college to instruct other students. Either way, you'll be contributing to the college educations of your classmates, and your classmates will be contributing towards your education. Students who participate actively in the exchange of ideas improve colleges, they also improve themselves, and so it's no wonder that colleges seek such students out, because it's an easy way to make their college education more valuable is by inviting students who will make the college a more intellectual and interesting place to be. For that reason, colleges also need passionate problem solvers. Colleges need leaders and problem solvers for student activities such as athletic teams, debate teams, political organizations, student government, and the like. College needs to seek students who are passionate about various activities, who can resolve disputes with other students. Believe me, you go away to college, you will come to meet people who are just as smart as you, but don't agree with you. Sometimes radically disagree with you. So you will have to figure out ways to get along with people who don't necessarily think the way you do, but are just as powerful intellectually as you are. So you're going to have to overcome financial and scheduling difficulties. You certainly won't have enough time and money to do everything that you possibly want to do at once, so you'll have to say, okay, how can I balance my schedule and my budget? So what does this have to do with the essay questions? I'm glad you asked. It has everything to do with them. They want to know what leadership and problem-solving skills you've already developed since you're going to encounter problems at school. You're going to have to go to class. You're probably going to have to work a work-study job. You are probably going to participate in athletics or something else outside of class. So all of those things are going to take up time. You're going to have to schedule time. You're going to have to figure out how to make these things work, just as you'll have to do in life after college. Colleges also seek diversity. Colleges firmly believe that there is strength in diversity. It makes sense since it's hard to have a robust exchange of ideas between people who have virtually identical backgrounds. Wow, you're from a boring suburb? I'm from a boring suburb too. Oh, you like tuna fish with mayonnaise on white bread? That's my favorite sandwich too. That's not very interesting. So, for that reason, colleges seek people from different cities, states, and countries, people with diverse socioeconomic backgrounds, people with different political and religious beliefs, people with unusual educational experiences, and people with other unusual backgrounds. Some cynical people I knew in college said, yeah, but the really diverse people are maybe 10% of the student population. Everybody else is about the same. I don't necessarily believe that, but anyway, the more diverse you are, the more you can set yourself apart in a good way, the more likely you are to get into a selective college. Thus, it is strongly to your advantage to detail what kind of non-mainstream background and experiences you have or you have had. Colleges also want community-minded students. A college is a community, as we've already discussed, but it also exists within a larger community. Any college is going to be in a town or a city or whatever you want to call it, in a county, in a state in the United States, if it's in the U.S., or it's going to be in some other kind of community, no matter where it is on the planet, unless it's the most isolated place in the world, in which case, have fun at Deep Springs College. But no, just kidding. Anyway, since college students are supposed to teach each other and the university or college needs to survive in the greater world, so college students are supposed to help the university survive in the greater world, they want students with a track record of community service. I know my father attributed, this paraphrased quote to Machiavelli that the main purpose of any organization is to survive, and the college is no different. So definitely they're going to want to bring in students who make the college look better, who help the college get along with people in the larger community, and will just volunteer to do things that probably wouldn't get done, or it would have to be done by paid staff. So they definitely want community-minded volunteer students. One tip before we get started on the actual questions is you want to check with the Common App colleges of your choice regarding essay prompts. If you go to the Common App site, you'll see the page that I have in the background there. There are tons and tons and tons of colleges. Some of them have additional questions they want you to ask. Other ones just want you to do the straight up Common App prompts, etc., etc. Please look that up for the college to which you wish to apply for each one. Don't assume they're going to be the same. And you could probably even check with the colleges directly just to make sure you haven't made a mistake. Obviously, I can't be responsible for your application deadlines, etc. So please make sure you check that. I believe the University of California deadlines are at the end of this month, October. Not October, I'm sorry. See, that's why you shouldn't rely on me. At the end of this month, November 30th is definitely the drop dead date, but that's also a Saturday. So make sure that you have it ready probably by close of business on the 28th or 29th if you're applying to UC. And again, don't take my word for it. Check with the colleges, okay? Another piece of information, advice I shouldn't even really have to give you, but don't lie or copy somebody else's essay. I really shouldn't have to tell you this because presumably if you want to go to college, you know that there is an honor code at every college. They all vary a little bit, but they're all based on no academic dishonesty, no dishonesty at all. I believe the West Point honor code is a West Point cadet does not lie, cheat, or steal, nor tolerate those who do. I remember being in ninth grade, being told that, oh, if you copy someone's paper, you can be kicked out of college and they'll put it on your transcript why you got kicked out. And I remember because I didn't believe it because, up till then, certainly through high school, the punishment for cheating was, oh, you got a 0 or you got an F, whatever. You got a failing grade on that paper or that test, and that was the end of it. That's not what they do in college. Hopefully you know that, but if you didn't know it, now you do. Colleges can deny you admissions based on plagiarism, that is, copying somebody else's essay, or other dishonesty, and can expel you after the fact, even if you're admitted based on the essay that you copied or other false information. They could possibly even revoke your degree or degrees. Okay, these days it's incredibly stupid. Back when I was applying to colleges, I knew enough to not copy something out of available books that said something like, college application essays that worked. You can look at them for reference, but if you're dumb enough to actually copy one of those verbatim, well, you deserved what you got, which would be caught. You're going to get caught. Now, all the essays and applications are in electronic format. Either you're directly uploading an electronic application, or the colleges will scan your paper application to a file that will be kept forever. And there are plagiarism checking sites such as Turnitin.com. I know some other plagiarism checking site actually sent a little spider bot to my website to check my sample essays, I assume. So please don't copy any sample essays I put up. You will get caught. Just don't copy. Don't plagiarize. You'll get caught. If you lie about something you did, an achievement, an award, your role, you say, oh, I was the president and founder of the Environmental Studies Club, and then they just assume that they'll go talk to the faculty advisor to the Environmental Studies Club will say, oh, well, wait a minute. No, he showed up for one meeting, and I think he did something. We had a camp out, and he came to it or something, So just rest assured that they'll ask your teacher, your boss, whoever about your claims, and you'll get caught. It's Murphy's Law. Just if you are scrupulously honest, they won't check anything. If you lie even a little bit, I guarantee you the thing you lied about will be the thing they check, either because it looks too good to be true or it's just random bad luck. So just assume you have the worst luck and just don't lie and don't cheat because it's wrong. Okay, anyway. An important note is you want to mention your achievements in your essays. I've had this happen over the last weekend. 2 different students asked me the same question. Basically, it was, do I really need to list my achievements, where I live, my activities, and my essays? They made me list those on the application, and they made me enclose a resume. That's great, but yeah, you do. Because, one, it flows better if you say, well, I went from being somebody who was a, understudy to a minor character in one play to directing several plays, including this one, the other one, and this one. Because, you need to list them to the extent they're relevant to your essays, because the person who is reading your essay is not necessarily the same person who has your application, who has your resume. And even if they are, there's no guarantee that they're looking at that, while they're reading your essay. They're not going to treat that as a concordance or something, some kind of dictionary or something that they look at so they can decode your essay. You need to make it simple. Okay, they're not going to remember information from your application and your essays. You have to remember, these people read many essays. They read more essays, I'm sure, than they want to. They're not going to remember, little Timmy Smith's essay. Oh, Timmy said that he was in the cross-country team. On the cross-country team, sorry, That's great, but if you just say, oh, I participated in sports, and you don't specify what ones in your essay, they're going to say, okay, what sports? If you say, I was on the cross-country team, the baseball team, the hockey team, and the football team, and the wrestling team, they'll say, geez, how did you have time to do all that? Again, don't lie, but if you did it, say it. In the words of the great baseball player Dizzy Dean, it ain't bragging if you done it. So anyway, so this works in most areas of life. I mean, if you make their job easier, where you give them the information they need to reference right there so they don't have to go looking for it, you're helping them help you. You're making it easier for them to say yes. If you're just making vague references and they have no idea if you've included any specific information, they're probably not going to go hunting for it. I wouldn't. Now, another way to look at it is think of when you were taught to write a business letter. You were taught to write your address in the letter. Put it right at the top of the letter. Why? Because envelopes are separated from letters all the time. If you're writing a letter to NBC in New York City, that's a huge, gigantic corporation. They're not going to make sure that the guy in the mailroom makes sure that your envelope is stapled right to your letter, blah, blah, blah. No, if they lose it, they'll say, oh, okay, well, too bad. This is a letter from some person who apparently didn't give me their address. I'm not going to look up and try to figure out who Bob Smith from Chicago is. There's probably a few thousand people named Bob Smith who live there. Oh, well, too bad. I was going to respond, but now I won't. So, same thing with the essays. Don't make these people's job harder. All right, so here's the first essay prompt. 1. Some students have a background, identity, interest, or talent that is so meaningful they believe their application would be incomplete without it. If this sounds like you, then please share your story. Who are you? Is your ethnic background important? Why? Perhaps you were born in another country then moved to the U.S. Perhaps you're applying from a country outside the U.S. Perhaps you're a member of an ethnic minority or an ethnicity that's rare in the area where you were raised. Maybe your name was different from other kids' last name. They made fun of you. Maybe you had a funny accent. Lots of different things. Fine, you can write about that. You could even write about it if there was some physical characteristic. If you're really short. I know I've heard of people writing essays about that, like, living life as a short person, da-da-da-da-da, So any of those things can work. What made you who you are today? Perhaps you moved frequently as a child, like your parents worked for the U.S. government, the military, the foreign service, a very large multinational corporation. And perhaps you had to overcome a disability, physical, mental, or emotional, poverty, discrimination based on some characteristic, race, sex, sexual orientation, gender expression, physical appearance. Or, again, what's it like being short in an area where most people are really tall? Were you the teacher's kid, the preacher's kid, so you had expectations put on you that other kids didn't? What makes you so special anyway? Have you always had a talent that made you stick out from the crowd? Did you work to develop such a talent? Have you worked on art, music, science, dance, sports, math, spelling, magic tricks, auto repair, crafts, pictures? Pictures and YouTube links, etc. may help if you can get those into your essay or get them on your application. Did your background or experiences cause you to develop a talent to compensate for problems? Maybe you always felt you were different because you had to move all the time, so you would put on little shows to get the new kids to like you. I read a book where some guy did that when he was growing up. Let's move on to the second question. The lessons we take from obstacles we encounter can be fundamental to later success. Recount a time when you faced a challenge, setback, or failure. How did it affect you, and what did you learn from the experience? Okay, this could be an academic problem. Was trigonometry or calculus hard for you? What was your mistaken thinking? How did you correct it? This can be a technical problem in science, art, hobby, or other physical activities. Did you have trouble taking a picture with your camera equipment, but you couldn't afford expensive equipment that would easily allow you to take the picture properly? Maybe you wanted to film, some sort of video you were making in an area, but you were denied access to the area. How did you work around the problem? Did you find some other area that looked like it? Did you edit the film so it looked like you were in that area? Did you sneak into the area when nobody else was there? These questions are extremely important in education. Good colleges aren't going to want applicants who give up as soon as they find a problem, and that's basically the scientific method, is you develop a hypothesis, you try it, if it doesn't work, you revise the hypothesis. So it's very, very important that you know how to deal with a challenge, a setback, or a failure, and don't say, geez, I tried, well, I guess it's just never going to happen for me. You need to persevere, that is, stick to it. Let's look at the third question. Reflect on a time when you questioned or challenged a belief or idea. What prompted your thinking? What was the outcome? So this question is fundamental to colleges seeing how much college-like experience you've had either in or out of the classroom. The whole point of your college/university experience, especially the first year or two, is to question assumptions you made about life, society, and yourself. Trust me, you'll be confronted with ideas very different from the ones you have, presented by people who are just as intelligent as you are. This is a good thing. You'll develop the ability to think critically and to distinguish sophistry, which is false logic, kind of slick, fast talking, from sophisticated reasoning. Perhaps your studies outside the classroom influenced your thoughts about what you'd been taught in the classroom by society in general. So, for example, I learned that political lobbying can affect medical and scientific advice when I learned how cattle ranching and grain farming interests, not nutritionists and doctors, developed the 4 food groups popular from the 1940s until the food pyramid was developed. Similar lobbying has affected drug policy, energy policy, military intervention policy, and even the criminal justice system in this country. So, you may have learned something by going to the library and reading books that weren't in your school curricula. That's especially helpful with history and things like that. So notice that there is some overlap with the second question. Perhaps a failure or an obstacle made you rethink a fundamental assumption, as often happens in science. That's the scientific method. So you may have had serendipity. You didn't find what you were looking for, but you found something much more valuable while you were looking for it. Let's examine the fourth question. Describe a problem you've solved or a problem you'd like to solve. It can be an intellectual challenge, a research query, an ethical dilemma, anything that is of personal importance no matter the scale. Explain its significance to you and what steps you took or could be taken to identify a solution. So, science and math lovers, this one's for you. Did you have a mathematical problem or a science problem that you've tried to solve, or that you're interested in developing a possible way to solve that problem? Philosophy lovers, what conundrum confuses and captivates you? Lovers of psychology and sociology can join in. Is there a legal or social issue that could use some deeper insight and consideration? And this could be even how you solved a personal problem. How'd you get a bully to leave you alone? How did you deal with a teammate on a group assignment who was always late? You never got their things in on time, never showed up for meetings on time, things like that. All of those things are great things you can mention as a problem you've solved. Here's the fifth question. Discuss an accomplishment, event, or realization that sparked a period of personal growth and a new understanding of yourself or others. Did you win a contest or prize, only to realize maybe it didn't mean that much to you? Why? What did it teach you about yourself, your old ideas, etc.? How did you change? Did you struggle to solve a problem and learn about yourself? Those would be the same questions. How did you change? What did it teach you about yourself? Did you work to change something in your school, community, etc.? Maybe there's a school rule you thought was unfair, that girls could wear short skirts when it was hot, but boys had to wear long pants and couldn't wear shorts. Something like that. Some other philosophical idea or general idea about life. Did you have some realization about life being a little bit more complex than you thought it was? Did you hear, in quotes, the dumb kid in class say something that was a surprisingly deep insight into something? Maybe someone you thought was hurting you was trying to help and would have helped you if you'd let them, or actually did help you despite your best efforts to resist the help. For example, a teacher who seemed to have an attitude problem may have just wanted you to work hard to do your best work. Have you ever came to a realization that pain is mandatory but suffering is optional? Yes, you're going to experience things that are unpleasant, but you don't have to let them get to you. You can't change the wind, but you can change your sails. Did you learn anything about personal responsibility over the years? Have you had a new perspective on an old event that really annoyed you until you re-examined it? Again, maybe the person you thought was really trying to hurt you or being a jerk for no reason had a reason to do what they did and were actually trying to help you. Did participating in a sport teach you about teamwork, goals, discipline, time management, etc.? I worked with a kid who's on the crew team. So pretty much 6 out of 7 days a week, maybe even 7 out of 7 days a week, 3 hours are gone to crew practice. Perhaps scouting or some other extracurricular activity taught you the same thing. Again, if you made it to Eagle, you had to do a lot to become an Eagle Scout. The sixth question. So you want to describe a topic, idea, or concept that you find so engaging that you lose all track of time. Why does it captivate you? What or who do you turn to when you want more? Actually, it should be whom. Whom do you turn to? But anyway, to whom do you turn? What's your passion? Basically, that's what they're asking. What would you do or think about all day if you could survive without having to work another job? Would you think about philosophical ideas? Would you be in the theater? Would you dedicate your life to religion? Would you dedicate your life to math, science, sports, auto repair, home improvement? How does it make you feel? Does it give you a greater mastery and understanding when you understand new things? Does it make you feel like you are more self-reliant? How do you learn about these things? Do you just learn by doing through experience? Do you go to the library and read about it? Do you watch YouTube videos about it? All of those things are really, really interesting, and it will give the admissions committee more insight into who you are and where you would fit in the college community, if anywhere. And that's completely fair. Maybe you don't belong at that particular college, but there's another college that would be a wonderful fit for you. The seventh and final prompt. Share an essay on any topic of your choice. It can be one you've already written, one that responds to a different prompt, or one of your own design. So here's the wild card. Here's a chance to submit your prize-winning speech, essay, if you did something with the American Legion or Toastmasters or something like that. You can explain why you'd be a great student anywhere that accepts the college, the common application. You can also discuss your special talents, needs, etc. You could possibly mention links to YouTube or other websites that feature your work. These are all great things that you could submit. I'm going to do another video on the open essay topics such as this one, but first I need to get this one out. And on that note, I hope this helped. If you have comments or questions, please leave a comment below or contact me at the phone or email at the beginning of this video.
I'd appreciate your input.
If you like this and you want to help me make more videos, please like this video and subscribe to my channel. I do in-person and online tutoring for the SAT, ACT, and more, so please hit me up if you want to do that with me. And again, thanks for watching this. Comments are welcome. I do reserve the right to edit for relevancy and common courtesy. On that note, have a good day and good luck applying to whatever colleges you apply.